helping cannabis businesses grow in the context of outsourcing to manufacturers, distributors who are set up to receive those outsourcing requests. And you look at things from the opposite perspective in many regards in your association with Vertical. So can you speak about that a bit? And what I'm getting at specifically is, what advice do you have, having seen, I imagine, some companies do that better than others in terms of utilizing your capacity to grow brands, to grow businesses? What advice do you have, having seen people do it better, some people do it better than others?
Well, again, I come at it from the alcohol beverage industry and a space where, when I talk about hard, finding a white space in the vodka category that actually has a seam that you can actually get on the shelf and get on a bar when you're competing with the world's largest, best marketers and their distributors that are aligned with them, that's hard. So I look at this space and I see white space everywhere, right? Every segment, every form factor has lots of white space, and that white space will be filled out by brands like Adrian's and other brands as we build them in these different categories, and we're in the early days of that. So there's lots of opportunity there. But you can't build a brand unless you can fulfill it. And the number one characteristic of any brand in the marketplace is you have to be able to deliver it at scale and in reliable form, right? You have to be able to get the same brand again and try it. It has to be exactly identical to the first time you had it. So when I look at the ecosystem, if we wanted to create a new whiskey, I could call 10 guys today and I could make a whiskey to my specs, and there's a fully developed ecosystem. In this space, there's not. Who do you trust? Who do you rely on? And it's not that there's not good people trying to do it, they haven't built out the ecosystem. So we felt like we had to build out our own ecosystem. That's why we're doing large scale production, large scale manufacturing and everything else for our own brands and for other people's brands, so we can help bring this market to commercialization. And at the Santa Barbara Ranch, we've got about 60,000 pounds of flower coming off the mountain now through the end of the year. And about 90% of that will go into extraction. That'll go into edibles and beverages and health and wellness products, and we're just getting started. But to do that scale, who would you go buy it from? How would you know? Now, 5 years from now, look, Gallo doesn't own all their grapes, and they contract out with great growers who make grapes for them. I'm happy to have relationships with lots of people who can do that. I don't really care about growing, except that we have to grow. I can't answer your question. I haven't seen anyone do it well. I've seen Adrian do it well for his brand. I haven't seen people do it well for the market, really.
Yeah.
And frankly, we're all just getting going, and it's really about executing at the day-to-day level. Right now, building brands is about getting them in packaging that is compliant, passing testing, and getting it onto the store shelves. That's number one to build a brand today. Down the road, it'll become much more about consumers, but today it's about the trade and being able to fill it.
I think Smoke brings up a key point, is there isn't a single business in this industry that has scaled to the real extent that other industries have scaled. There aren't, years from now, there'll be companies with 500 million of sales, right? There's nothing like that today. And from the retail side, you see the MSOs like us trying to scale, you see the brands trying to scale, and now you're at a point where the valuations assume that they are going to scale, and a lot won't. So to me, it's like, there's a ton of execution risk in all these businesses, which is why you have to be nervous about high valuations, but also it means that execution and excellent operators are going to have such a huge advantage because so many people are putting mediocre products on the shelves.
Very good.